All right, so when we go from degrees to radians, we're going to do this thing. Okay, and then we're just going to reduce that fraction. Those end in zeros, so the zeros will go away. It's like dividing both by 10. And then 3 goes into 3 once, and 3 goes into 18 6 times. So it's pi over 6. For this one, the zeros again, divide by 10, they'll cancel. And 6 goes into 42 7 times. And 6 goes into 18 3 times. You put that in your calculator and hit math, enter twice, it'll give you those fractions, right? The other way, radians 2 degrees, we're going to go 180 over pi. So if you want to do this, and then the pi's go away. So 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 180 60 times, 7 times 60 is 420. But there's the 7 pi over 3 right there. So that's the same problem, basically. It's going the other way, right? And then 180 divided by 5. Again, that one, you can just divide using your calculator. Again, you can use your calculator. So, but so 36 degrees. Questions? That's pretty easy, right? So you don't have to use the actual pi and give me a decimal. Just give me the fraction in terms of pi. All right. Have 1 and 2 look like 3 and 4. Have 3 and 4 look like 1 and 2 when you're done. Okay. Number 5. Theta isn't there. I'll draw it in here. I always like to put it down there. All right, this is a right angle. Okay, so I have to do Pythagorean first. We'll call this B. So we got A, 5 squared, plus B squared equals C squared, the hypotenuse, right? So we have to find that missing side first. So I don't want a decimal answer there. Just use the radical answer. Will that simplify square root of 39? Can I do a factor tree and pull something out? No. Right? If you could, you should do that. You should simplify it. But this one didn't. So we're just going to leave that as the square root of 39. And then we're going to do the 6 trig ratios. Cosecant goes with sine, and secant goes with cosine. Oops. Cotangent. I was going to do tangent again. So remember SOHCAHTOA, right? All right, sine. Here's theta. Opposite 5 over hypotenuse 8. So cosecant is a reciprocal of that. Cosine is adjacent, radical 39 over hypotenuse 8. This would be 8 over 39. But I got to rationalize, right? So it's 8 radical. I'm running out of room. 39 over 39. When we're done, simplify. Tangent 5 opposite over radical 39 adjacent. So I have to, it's going to be that then when I do what I did up here for secant. You guys with me on that? Because I have to rationalize that denominator. And then cotangent is adjacent radical 39 over 5. So don't give me 6 point something what the square root of 39 is. Just leave it as the square root of 39. Leave it in radical form for your fractions. Because we don't like putting decimals with fractions, right? That's not kind of mixing things together there. Radicals, okay. Questions on that? So 5, got to find the missing side, use the Pythagorean theorem, and then do your 6 answers. Okay? 6, 7, and 8, same type of problem. I spelled exercises wrong. That should be what, a C there? Oops, that was not good. All right, so they're giving us a picture of a triangle here. Make a right triangle. Put theta somewhere, either of the acute angles, doesn't matter. I like to put it down there. So cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, so I have to figure out the missing side. So then I can answer the 3 questions there. All right, so I'm going to use Pythagorean. I'll call this one A this time. So A squared plus 2 squared equals 3 squared. That's 4 and 9. So subtract 4. What's 9 minus 4? 5. So remember, I got to take the square root to get what A is. So this is the square root of 5. Now I got my 3 sides. Okay, so sine opposite square root of 5 over hypotenuse 3. Secant goes with cosine, doesn't it? Cosine was 2 over 3, so secant is 3 over 2. So we could have done 7 without looking at the picture, right? And then tangent is opposite of theta, radical 5 over adjacent to theta 2. So draw your picture from the information you're given up there, and then answer the 3 questions with that same picture. So 5 through 8 are basically the same type of problem, right? Questions? All right, again, number 9. I don't want the decimal answer. I want the exact answer. So I want to see the fractions. Okay? So for 9, you're going to need to know these 2 triangles. Now, this 9, we didn't need this triangle, but maybe tomorrow we will. It's always true. If those were 1s, that's radical 2. If these are both 2s, that's 2 radical 2. If these are both 10s, that's 10 radical 2. Okay? And this one. 30, 60, 90. Right? Opposite to 30 is called the short leg. I always make it 1. The hypotenuse is always twice as long as the short leg. So that's a 2. The long leg opposite to 60 is always the short leg times the square root of 3. So again, if the short leg's 5, the hypotenuse is 10, and the long leg's 5 radical 3. So it always works out that way. Okay. So then I look at those two pictures for number 9 tomorrow. In the practice here, it's 30 for both. All right. So looking at 30, opposite side is 1 and hypotenuse is 2. Looking at 30 still, cosine is radical 3 adjacent over hypotenuse 2. I got a common denominator, so I can add those right away, right? But if I don't have a common denominator, make them common denominator, right? You guys know how to do that. Since this isn't the square root of 1 or anything, well, I guess it could be, but since these aren't really like terms, you can just write 1 plus a radical 3. All right? You give me the decimal answer, I'll check to see if it's right, but you're going to miss a point because it's not exact. All right? Draw your pictures. Okay, it's going to be, so know the 2, because you might have a 45 tomorrow on your quiz. Questions? Okay, the number 10, you can use your calculator for that one. All right? So a 140-foot string is attached to a kite, makes a 55-degree angle with the ground. Okay? So the string that's attached to the kite would be the hypotenuse. The kite's up here, right? $55-degree angle down here with the ground. Got a right triangle here. What is the height of the kite? So I'm looking from the ground straight up is the height. I'm looking for that X value. There's my picture. That makes sense? Okay, so here's my angle. X is which side with respect to this angle? Opposite. The 140 is the hypotenuse. So that's sine, right? So we're going to do sine of 55 equals opposite over hypotenuse. Again, I like to make that a fraction, and then we could say it's a proportion. So we're going to cross multiply to solve the proportion. 1 times x is x. Oops, I got my 55 first. I want my sine first, right? So sine of 55 times 140 will be the answer. Remember to make sure you're in degree mode. Should be there in the right mode. But just to check, make sure. So hit your sine button, 55, close it off, and then times 140. So 114 point, said hundredth, so 0.68. Simple. Questions? So first grade of the last 9 weeks, okay, will be tomorrow. Just get a good start. No questions? Thanks for your attention.